Welcome to the Frontier BuildCast. Two brothers.
Mike.
Zero filter?
Yeah, maybe sometimes a little bit of filter.
Has to be some filter.
Has to be some filter. Can't just not do filter.
I mean, we just had like a whole conversation before hitting record that we had to filter.
Definitely filter that.
Actually, two conversations in a row that had to be filtered out. So.
Definitely.
First time we're in person together. Last two recordings you were in Nova Scotia and I was here. So
it's true.
You're sitting literally across the desk from me. We can actually high five. High five. Yeah, so sweet. A lot different. So, you know, last time we followed a couple of scripts. Like we had some kind of rough ideas on our screen. This time we actually really don't have anything on the screen.
No, nothing at all.
What do you want to talk about?
We're actually staring at each other right now. It's kind of awkward.
Yeah. This is how conversations work.
Awkwardly.
It doesn't have to be awkward. You make it awkward by saying it's awkward. You don't have to make it awkward. That's awkward. You make it absolutely worse. So.
That's kind of what we do.
Yeah. So what's the conversation about today?
Well, kind of the last time we talked about the idea of a simple project, just a simple renovation, but and then we kind of teased the idea of why the cheapest quote isn't the best quote. But I'm not even sure that's something we need to talk about yet.
Yeah. I don't know.
One of the things that I kind of want to talk about some of the reasons why we did or didn't do some work this last couple of weeks. You just had a conversation with somebody just recently, and I just kind of want to go over that for a minute because it's fresh in our minds, and we can talk about what's going on in the build world and in our business world as well, and try to help people understand that this is a living organism at the end of the day.
Yeah.
We just had to kind of half break somebody's heart or have a hard conversation with people. And how do you have those hard conversations when you don't want to have those hard conversations?
The conversation went better than I thought it would, but definitely it was a hard conversation. I mean, I was nervous to have it. With success of our company in the last few years, I mean, we've changed a lot of things at built processes. Things have obviously changed, so we get a lot more requests of people that want to kind of jump on board. And I think that's really flattering. I love that. And I think it's cool but like, we can't take everybody on, and not everybody's a good fit. It's not a good idea for us to bring on everybody onto the teams. And it's the same thing with projects, right? Like we have a good team, we have quite a bit of capacity, but like we can't take on every project, say yes to sit like everything. It just simply isn't enough room for that. So.
On that point, like we actually were looking at the inbound requests that we've been getting the last couple of weeks, and when we reviewed the outcomes of those, of the vast majority of them, we said no to. From the project point of view, I
was surprised when I saw that on the screen. I was like, "Holy shit!" Like most of the projects that have come in lately, we've said no to.
Yeah, and it's strange to be able to have to say no to some projects, but the reality is that large projects, renovation projects, are not right for everybody at all times. Some of those projects might be right for us later, or might be right for those people, in fact, later. But what we talk about a lot, and is the idea of, is it right for the person first? The families it needs to be right for the families first, like the clients that are calling in. And I don't know that everyone is always aware of what the outcome of a construction project is going to be, or the process in general. So when we sit down at the table and we go, this process that you think is that you think is simple, it's going to be a 9-month project, and you're going to be living without a kitchen, for instance, for 3 months, potentially, right? Because we're in the middle of doing deconstruction. Well, how are you going to handle that process? And people haven't really thought about that before. So, part of what we do and what I think is important when we're talking to people, and when I say we don't take people on, it's like, Are you actually prepared to start this project? Is this an adventure you actually want to go on? Rather than us saying no to you, it's whether or not you're ready to take that on.
Yeah, there's a line with both of us, like because we have our own objectives with what we're working on, and we have to make things fit instead of what we're trying to work on, and then other people have other goals. Like the conversation I had today wasn't about a project; it was about a position. Yeah, somebody wanted to come here and work, and I answered his question with more questions, just like, what is it that you really want? Like, what is the reason you're looking to change? Like, what is it about my company or our company that you think you want to be a part of? And like, because if it actually does align, then great, we should keep talking about it. But if it doesn't align, we shouldn't talk anymore. Like, we should actually talk about what is important to you.
Yeah.
And that's when you said, like, most of the projects, the inbound leads that have come in lately, we've just simply said no to. It's not that we just say, oh no, we're too busy for you, like go away. It's like, what do you want?
Yeah.
Like what do you want?
What is the outcome that you're actually trying to achieve here?
Yeah.
Right. And is doing a renovation even required?
Yeah. And is our process a little too convoluted and complicated for such a simple project or a smaller project? Maybe our process is bigger than the project, but we don't want to go off of our script, our process, because the only way you can make money in this industry, honestly, is just to keep find something that works and then stick to that same system every single time over and over. So if we have every time I find that we have the biggest problems is when we go off script. Yeah. Is when we're like, oh yeah, but it's a simple project, we can kind of fit this one in.
When was the last time we went off script? Like, do you have an idea of a project that we went off script on, and just the horror story that ensued? And not even a horror story from like our perspective, from the customer's perspective.
Do you have a project that you're thinking of right now?
I have a couple of them that we're currently working on.
Can you give me a hint on what the project could be about?
Well, we have a build project, a house project that we want to build, right? And
it wasn't following our process, and we actually went outside of our process, especially in the designer side of things, and like the designers working for the homeowner, not for us, which I think is a big red flag now. Like I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't repeat that again. We want to control that. I think what people are looking for when they hire us is leadership. Yeah. Is somebody that hey, take charge, lead the process, lead the charge, get me to where I want to go. And if I let anybody else take charge at any point in time, not that I'm a control freak. Well, I am, but that's not the problem. Yeah, I am.
So am I. But we try to control different things, though. That's the weird thing. Like sometimes we're trying to control the same thing differently. Yeah, and that's a problem.
A lot of the times that's what we're being hired to do, is to control the process, control the variables. So I think people are looking for leadership when they're hiring a good contractor, and when we don't live up to that, then it actually, people think they don't necessarily want that.
What does good leadership mean though in a project, in a large scale construction project? What is good leadership?
It's the same thing I tell everybody at work. It's it's accountability. It's just accountability. It's like one word summary. Yeah. It's accountability for the good and the bad and the ugly and the indifferent. It's like you have to be held accountable for everything, and the buck stops with you.
Yeah. One of the things we always say is, it's not that you have to perform the work, but you have to ensure the work gets done correctly. So whenever we, in our company here, we're talking about a goal that has to be achieved or an outcome that has to be achieved, somebody is in control of that process. Yeah. But they don't actually always have to be the one that's doing the process. For instance, clean the shop yard, right? That might be a task that falls on me to ensure gets done.
Hasn't been done in a while.
Hasn't been done. I'm using that as an example.
Is it on you? Is it yours?
No, that's not mine.
You're missing that.
Yeah. No, but I'm using it as an example because that's an active project that needs to be dealt with. And we do have somebody who's actively responsible for making sure it's done, right? And then their job then is they don't have to go physically pick up the stuff in the shop yard and move the machinery around, but they have to ensure that the people that can do those jobs get those jobs done.
Yeah, that guy's always mixed that one up.
Right? And there's always that.
Why did you assign that to me?
Well, yeah, it's not my job, right? It's everyone's job, right? But we always have to assign one person who's responsible. And I think that's what you're trying to say a little bit, in that when you're hiring a contractor, that company is the final buck stop. Right. They're the ones that's responsible for making sure the job gets done. Mm-hmm. And we see it all too often where we come into a job late in the game where somebody's, something's gone off the rail, and they're looking for somebody to pull back things back into kind of a sense of organization and normalcy. And it's because, the carpenter's doing one thing and the plumber's doing one thing and the electrician's doing one thing and the framer's doing one thing and the roofer's doing one thing, and nobody is responsible for all of it. And then the warranties fall off, right? Who's responsible for the warranty on the roof and on the framing and on the foundation and on the, right? And when there's nobody responsible, right? Or when everyone's responsible, nobody's responsible.
We literally just had this problem happen. We're doing a project for my son's school. Yeah. We're not involved with the project. I happen to sit on the board of directors at my son's school. You know that, but the people watching maybe don't. But I sit on the board of directors for my son's school, and there's an executive director who is a staff person at the school. And we're trying to put an addition on that school. We're not doing it. It's an institutional project. We generally don't do institutions. Yeah, so it's the executive director is acting basically as the general contractor on the project. I've been basically an advisor, a consultant for her, as she walks through the process. And I was like, you know what, we should probably get a general contractor from the start. I was like, we should probably get a general contractor, one person to kind of manage the whole, but it wasn't approved by the rest of the board. It was put on the shoulders of the executive director,
who doesn't have expertise in this.
She's never run a project, a construction.
Has no idea what she's doing. Is fish out of water.
Unfair
to her.
Yeah.
Right. Unfair to her.
She's honestly done a good job for what she's done, but it's like, man, has it been a very difficult. It's been pretty well all encompassing for her just to get the building permit, and we finally did get the building permit. But just getting that it was a pain in the ass just to get that one, just to get to the permit. We're not even in construction phase yet. One of the issues that came up on that was something that you just wouldn't be able to foresee, but a general contractor, the accountable person, would be the one that would be like on the line to deal with this problem. Is like there had to be a firewall built, and this like separate the two buildings, and now we need a whole scope of work for this firewall. It's not just a simple firewall. Finally, the board, with my advice, opted to just hire a general contractor to handle that scope only. So
just
now
that one scope.
We have a general contractor running just that firewall, so she doesn't have to continue to be bogged down with that, because in that firewall there's 4 or 5 different sub trades that are going to be involved. There's like an installation guy, there's the flashing, aluminum flashing, and then there's the actual door company that's installing the fire door. And so now they finally just hired a general contracting company, and they're like, well, we're paying a markup for that general contracting service.
Yes.
And I said, yeah, it's either that or she's going to go on a leave of absence.
Yeah.
Because she can't handle the stress from this, and she's the homeowner in this case. When the homeowners try to do the general contracting, it's like, you are now the accountable person. Everybody's going to come to you with the good, the bad, and the indifferent.
Yeah.
And that amount of problems piled right up on top of this poor person, and she's been doing a good job, but I'm glad they finally made the right call to hire an accountable person for that scope at least. She's still on the hook for the rest of it with our support, but
it's hard because you want to do right by people, and everybody works on a budget. I don't care. Nobody's ever signed over a blank check, right? Nobody knows how much things really cost.
By the way, if you're out there and you want to sign over a blank check for your project,
let's do it.
Give me a call.
Yeah, blank checks are great.
Look us up.
Often people will call us and say, well, how much is X going to cost? Like, how much is this addition going to cost me? Right? And I have no idea. I have a vague idea of what an addition costs, but I don't know how much your addition is going to cost.
Did Karen talk to you about the subcontractor that called us asking us to sub for them?
No.
I don't want to use too many names, but there's a contractor out in Niagara region that does a specific scope of a project.
Yeah.
And they had a customer reach out to them for that specific scope. But in order for them to do that scope, they need a bigger project to be completed before they can install their product.
Right.
So
was this the one that was just recently? 2 days
yesterday.
Ago?
Okay, yeah. And that contractor called and said, hey, like, I'm going to go in and I want to sell them my product. Since they're my customer, I want to sell them my product. But I'm going to need somebody to handle the bigger scope. Can you give me a rough price and I can tell them how much that scope's going to be?
No. And
Karen came in. You weren't here, I think you were gone. But she came in, she's like, how do you want to handle this?
Right.
You know what my advice to her was? Did she tell you what my advice to her was? No. It was, you need to control the process. We are the general contractor. We're not the sub. No. We have systems in place to be the accountable party.
Right.
So it's like, you need to call that guy back and say, the project includes your product.
That's right.
Includes your scope. And we need to be the guy in charge.
That's right.
On this. So, and if that sub doesn't want to do that, that's outside of our control. It doesn't work for us because we aren't set up to be a subcontractor. We are the accountable party.
Yeah.
And she called that guy back, and he was unbelievably relieved.
Yeah.
Yeah. He was like, "Oh, thank God! Like, I had no idea how I was gonna do this."
It's funny
he was
how
just outside of his element.
Well, it's funny how everybody thinks that everybody in trades kind of operates the same, and there's a fair amount of tradespeople out there, standing in vans or chucks and trucks, and they're one-off people, and they do a fantastic job of their scope, or they see a missing thing in the marketplace, and they say, well, I could fill that need, but the larger picture of the entire project is kind of foreign to them. It's like speaking a different language.
Yeah.
When you have to kind of mix multiple scopes into one project, or multiple projects into one kind of outcome, when you're doing like an exterior, interior, an addition, doing a basement renovation all at the same time, well, all those pieces, each one of those pieces is a completely different project. And without a company that actually understands how those pieces go together. It's like putting together a jigsaw puzzle without any picture and without any color on the front of the jigsaw pieces. You're just guessing that they all go together somehow, right?
My wife would figure it out. She's good at puzzles.
Yeah, she's really good at puzzles.
I can't.
She would eventually, and for that analogy continues because it can still go together, but it just takes a lot longer.
Yeah,
and a lot longer in construction doesn't just mean timeline. Yeah. It also means a ton more money.
Generally, it causes more problems.
Yeah.
When you have 2 or 3, 4 or 5, well, in our case, it's sometimes 15, 20 trades trying to complete a project, everybody is self-interested. Yeah. They're like, honestly, and I don't blame them. Like, what they're trying to do is like get their little piece of the puzzle put together and then get paid and get the hell out of there.
Right.
And I don't blame them, but there's rework issues inside of there. And there's also like organization and timelines, like who should come in first, second, third, fourth in order for the project to come together in the right way. Like if you have an electrician come in and then your plumber come in, there's going to be some serious problems. But an electrician's not going to say, no, I won't do this project. You call an electrician and say, I'd like you to wire my kitchen for me. They're going to say, okay, I'll wire up your kitchen. And then the plumber's going to come in and say, all these wires are in my way. Yeah. Like I have to run a drain here and I don't have an option. An electrician can move the wires around plumbing, but plumbing can't move around the wires. So if you're not doing the same things in the right way, in the right order, you're going to run into problems. And I don't blame the trades for being self-interested. In fact, they may not know there was another scope even involved.
I was talking to an architect friend of mine. They got some drawings from a different architectural firm. There was a project that they were seeking some help for. And on the drawings themselves, whenever they asked a question, what about this plumbing thing? And what about this electrical thing? What about this HVAC thing? What about this? Every single time the architect came back, contractor to verify, contractor to verify, contractor to verify, contractor to verify.
Cop out.
Yeah, it's like the architecture firm that they hired originally didn't even step foot on site. Yeah. Didn't do a site visit one time to say what can be done in this site at all. They're just sitting in an office, hundreds of kilometers away, sometimes thousands of kilometers
Probably
away.
overseas.
Yeah. Putting together this RFQ or this proposal, and at every single line, it's like plumbing, contractor to verify, electrical, contractor to verify, right? And it's crazy how
it's not very helpful.
It's not. How do you do a job like that?
You can't do it succinctly for a good price and good quality.
No.
Like you're just gonna have you're gonna rack up extras and change orders and things like that. It's just gonna be completely frustrating.
So how do we do that? Like how do we manage that?
You talk to a builder like us first. So we're the starting point. Like honestly, for all conversations, I would say if you talk to a designer, you've already gone one step too far. And I don't mean to sound like it does make me sound like I'm a control freak, but that's the business that we've created around the problem of projects aren't organized well.
Well, you are a control freak, and that's a good thing. Like
that's
in this
what paying me
case,
for.
Yeah, in this case, it's a good thing. Like having a good project manager, having a company that can actually control the process and know the ins and outs of it. Somebody needs to, right? Somebody needs to, and I can't, in good conscience, make the homeowner be the only one that knows what's going on. We always say we don't want the homeowner to find out the information before we know what the information is. Right. Because at some point, somebody's going to have to dissect that information into some sort of palatable form. Because there's a lot of jargon in this world.
We don't expect homeowners to understand it. That's not their expertise, unless it is your area of expertise, that you understand how to read blueprints and interpret lingo from trades. But there's a reason why we have a family doctor in the healthcare system and then specialists. The family doctor is kind of the intermediary between.
I can't get to my specialist without my family doctor.
That's a good thing. Yeah. Because if you go straight to the specialist, you ever gone to get an MRI or an X-ray or something like that? They write a report about what happened. You can't even read it. It's not discernible. And then you throw that through ChatGPT or something like that, and it just gives you the worst case scenario.
You always get cancer.
Yeah, you definitely have cancer. But your family doc can just simply oh yeah, no, this means this means that. And they can discern it. That's the general contractor. That's the main point of contact we're the general practitioner. Yeah. The doctor that's in front of everybody that you come back to and make sure is the one that's held accountable for everything. So that's how we fit into the healthcare system.
I often think about the projects that we don't do, and sometimes we always glorify the projects we do But I reflect on a lot of the projects that we decided not to take on as part of our as part of our role, and we've advised other people not to do in general. We had a customer, I guess it was a year ago, well, a year and a half ago when we met them, maybe almost 2 years ago we met them, and they came to us asking about doing an addition to their house. We ended up doing their addition, but we advised them before we even started the process of doing design or budgeting or any of the material selections or any of the legwork that they go house hunting first.
Mm-hmm.
Like we didn't want the project until we knew they could not find something better, so they didn't have to go through the process.
Yeah.
Do you remember that project?
Yeah, I know that project you're talking about. That's the whole. That goes right back to the beginning of this conversation, where it's like we only want it if it's actually a good idea. I don't want to force a project into our system if it's not a good idea. And most projects, unfortunately, just aren't a good idea. And the homeowner doesn't actually want what they think they want.
Yeah.
Like if you ask good enough questions, you get to the root of the problem, which isn't I want new tile in my shower. You find out the root of the problem is my bathroom isn't suiting my needs at all, or this whole like section of my house isn't suitable. And that what you're saying about that client that we told them to go house hunting for, it's like, listen, maybe you can get a house in the neighborhood you want to live in that's already renovated the way you want to renovate this for less money. Maybe you can just buy a house and sell this place, and there's somebody that wants to move into this house that's too small for you but might be just right for them.
Yeah.
So go check that out first, because that might be the problem. Is like the solution to the problem might already exist. We're not trying to reinvent the wheel.
I think that's a really important thing. Like the solution may already exist.
Probably already does.
Right.
Probably.
There's always, there's always the, whatever choice you make always has trade-offs, right? Choice has trade-offs. For the same $100, you can go to one restaurant versus the other restaurant, right? The trade-off is the food you're getting. In this case, the trade-off was that they had to go live with their family members in the basement for almost 7 months.
7 months, yeah. We gutted their house and put an addition on it. Yeah.
Completely gutted their house. That was a big project.
Turned out awesome though.
Turned out beautiful.
Check it out. It's on our website.
It's
on our social medias. It's great.
And the nice thing is those clients, they talk in the testimonial video. There's a video on there. They tell their side of the story. The problems are, that there is confusion inside the process. There are things that come up that you're not aware of. There's a whole lot of stress that you don't anticipate. Mm-hmm. These are things that are realities in this world. And if you're doing a renovation, those just become exponential because of things we can't see behind walls, right?
And as you're talking, I'm thinking like the person I was talking to this morning about maybe this isn't the right fit for them to come work here. It's like the right hire is only the right hire because of the ones you said no to.
Yeah.
And the right projects are only the right projects because of the ones you said no to or they said no to.
I heard there's somebody on TikTok that sometimes comes up in my feed. And yeah, I TikTok. And she was talking about, she's a business coach. And she was talking about when you're in business and when you start a business and it's like you're in the middle of the desert. And when you're in the middle of the desert, any water is important to you, mm-hmm. right? Any water is important to you. So you drink whatever water you can find. It's just kind of the sense of desperation, but take whatever water you can get, and maybe it'll get you to the next sip. But as you become more and more successful in businesses, you get to understand that there is some water that's good for you, that actually helps your body, and some water that's poisoned. Now, not all water is right for you.
Yeah.
You can also not make your cup bigger, right? So you need to choose the water that you take in order to make sure that your cup doesn't overflow and you don't start to drown, right?
The point is not to be desperate. And to make sure that you're like finding the right fit.
From the customer point of view is what I'm kind of thinking. Like you should be able to trust your contractor and not just choose the cheapest one.
Yeah, we play a fun game, and I do it sometimes with my team when they're not noticing. But I call it the don't answer the question game. And they ask me a question, expecting an answer, and I ask them a question back, and and then they ask me a question back and clarifying that, and then we just go around and around in circles on asking questions, and they end up answering their own question 100% of the time. Yeah, just ask the right question. Just keep asking questions because you'll get to the root of the problem. And if you just keep asking questions, and that's a great sales technique too. It's like, hi, I have X problem. Why do you think X is a problem? Oh, well, because this, and this. And it's like you can actually dig down deeper and deeper and get to the root of problems and find out what like actual clean cup of water is at the end of the day. Yeah. Just by asking better questions. Just continue to ask better questions.
We have a sales, quote unquote, sales department, but we don't actually sell here at Frontier. Mm-hmm. It's not actually the mission. Our mission is actually to advocate, to advise, to consult.
Sounds like bullshit, though. The people
I know
watching are going to say, "Oh, yeah,
I know it does. It sounds like that." But the reason I get to say that is because we do say no to projects, right? The reason I can hang on my hat on that is because I know that that we don't take everything, because we're not just trying to sell anything under the sun. We're trying to make sure that the projects are worthwhile for the customer and honestly for the company too, right? And a good contractor, a good company should have a lineup of people wanting to work with you, right?
Yeah. And by the way, it's not one size fits all. We're not perfect for everybody, but there's like a company that's the right size for every project. And there's some projects that are just too big for us, and we don't take those on either. And there's a lot of projects that are just too small for us, and we're not going to take them on either. Finding a contract, finding somebody that suits the size of the project that you're trying to finish is like, it's a pretty important thing. Like, don't find somebody that does $150,000 main floor remodels to do your powder room. They're not going to, first of all, they may be way too expensive for what you're doing, and they're not going to be set up to do it efficiently. No. So you want to make sure you're fitting the right like type of company inside the project that you're trying to do. So
we'll get a lot of calls, and we do this often where somebody will call us up for a single scope of a project. I'll use an east trough as an example, and they'll say, "Can you come and fix our east trough?" And to be honest with you, no, we can't. Mm-hmm. Right? That's just not the size of company we are. It just, there's too much mobilization for a set of east trough. But we have a company that works with us on a lot of our jobs, that we will give our customers direct access to, because that's the right person for that size job. Because we don't want to leave our customers or the people that call us stranded either, right? And not every contractor would give access to their sub list. But I think if you have a trusted contractor, if you find somebody you trust, you should be relying on them to give you good advice. We've vetted all of our subcontractors. Mm-hmm. So the ones that we use are the ones that we're willing to warranty our names against.
And we've worked with a lot of them.
And we continue to make changes. Yeah. Right. We've had some issues recently with a couple of our subcontractors that we sit down with them and say, this is what we expect from you, right? In order for you to continue to wave the flag that is Frontier, right? To get to work on the project.
This is what our customers expect, and you're not living up to it.
Yeah. And we'll have those frank conversations. And honestly, I'd rather have no subcontractor in that position than a bad subcontractor in that position, right? And then it's our job to find and vet a better subcontractor. Yeah. We're lucky that we have a really good sub list.
Well, it's Paul's job.
It's Paul's job, right? But at the same time, it's a hard job, right? Because subs also become more challenging as they get busier, right? So one of the things that happened during COVID was it was very difficult to find anybody to do any job. But it wasn't hard for us to find anybody to do any job. See, for us, the subs want to work for a company that consistently gives them work. And a homeowner who's calling a one-off sub or one-off contractor is not going to get the best time, the best price, right? Or the best flexibility, because those people are hired out to larger companies like ourselves who give them consistent work. So it's a hot tip is, call your local contractor, because they probably have better access to
the one that you trust, the one that your friends have used, right. The one that your neighbors have used.
That's right.
And like, yeah, they're great.
That's right.
Nobody's perfect, but they're great.
That's right.
Yeah.
And work with them. It's worth it. It's worth it every time.
Yeah.
That's what I do now. I don't live locally to Frontier, so I have to use somebody else. But yeah, it's important to not feel like you have to be the only person, or you don't have to vet everybody. Because I ask that to people all the time. How do you vet the contractor that you're going to use, or the roofer you're choosing? And they're like, I have no idea.
the worst answer is based on price.
Yeah, based on
I
price.
call it free, not a price.
Yeah.
Just asking for problems.
Yeah.
Because everybody needs to make money.
Mm.
So otherwise, if it's a race to the bottom, they're just going to cut corners to make their money.
The material is the material, right? Now it's just a matter.
So is the labor.
Now it's just the quality. How much time can they spend on your project? Time to me is the biggest adjustable factor of quality. If you're forced to get something done super fast, right, then all you can do is do things half-assed, right? So you need to be able to have enough in your budgets to ensure that the contractor can be there for enough time to do a high quality job. Yeah. Otherwise, your shingles are going to fall off the roof, right? They're going to forget nails in some of the shingles.
Yeah, man. I think that's a good spot to wrap this one up.
Sounds good.
Yeah. That was great. That was a great talk. It was nice to have you in person. So thanks for joining for the Frontier BuildCast. I appreciate it. Make sure you're liking or subscribing and sharing or something like that if this makes sense to share. I think we're just trying to share some information.
We're just supposed to smash that like button.
Smash that like button, dude. And right here's where Mode brings the logo in from the side.
Yeah, something like that.
See you next time.
See you, bud. Bye.